Greetings and salutations, hey besties. So I'll be completely transparent, I've been really struggling to find motivation to film and create lately. I've been really struggling. It's been a very shit year in terms of my mental health, but I always get a little bit extra sad around Christmas time. Like October to December is generally never a fun time in my head. I've had a lot of things coming up and sometimes the creative motivation can be hard because I want to create content that is positive and uplifting, and sometimes when you're feeling less than stellar, it's more difficult to make content of that nature. But I thought it could be fun to just do a little sit down chatty video talking about something that I love. That's easy for me to do. Once you start me talking on something that I love, I can go for hours. I actually just wanted to do a little video talking about cosplay and why I love cosplay and why I cosplay. Because fun fact, before I started cosplaying, when I was just obsessed with the idea of cosplay, I used to watch videos on YouTube of why they cosplayed, so I thought I could contribute to that. I've always loved cosplay and I've always been obsessed with the idea of it. I started going to conventions when I was 11 and I went with my mom. I begged her to go with me. I was just kind of tapping into the nerdier kind of aspects of myself because I'd always been a reader, but my main fandoms were like at that point in time were just like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. I hadn't really expanded out past that, but I just wanted to go to a convention because a lot of people that I followed online went. I remember immediately, I went for one day of the con. I remember immediately like being obsessed with the idea of cosplay. I saw a Luna Lovegood cosplayer there and I was like, wow, she's dressed as Luna Lovegood. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I took a photo with the guy cosplaying the 11th Doctor. I didn't recognize many people's costumes, but I immediately became like obsessed with it. And then as I kind of got more nerdy, I guess, as I went on, as I got into the MCU and more into Spider-Man comics, and as I kind of just fell in love with more aspects of media, when I got really obsessed with Harley Quinn in Batman the Animated Series, I followed all these cosplays online. I got more excited about going to cons and just staring at other cosplayers. I created lists and lists and I would do all this research about different cosplays and characters that I wanted to cosplay. I remember Age of Ultron came out and I was obsessed with wanting to cosplay Wanda. I've always been a Wanda Maximoff stan. I tried to teach myself how to sew, which didn't go very successfully, so that I could make my own costumes as a kid, and I was just obsessed with the idea of it. I was too scared to actually do it for a multitude of reasons. One, I was a severely anxious teenager. I had crippling social anxiety. Like I genuinely could not talk to any strangers without having a panic attack, so that kind of made the idea of putting on a costume and greeting other people very scary. Also had a sister who was really like against it for some reason. I don't know why, but she thought of cosplay as this inherently sexual thing, I guess. So she kind of used to talk to me about how she didn't ever want me to cosplay, and she wouldn't let me cosplay until I was 18 at the least, and she never wanted to see me. Specifically, she was really against me cosplaying Harley Quinn, even though I specifically wanted to do like the animated version of her, which is like a full coverage bodysuit. There was some talks around that, so I just would follow all these cosplayers online and watch videos of people talking about being a cosplayer online with these wide eyes, because I loved the idea of loving a character so much that you embodied them. I loved that. So when I actually did cosplay, I was about to turn 18 and there was a convention happening like 3 days after Halloween, and I wanted to go as Spider-Gwen for Halloween. There was like a $80 difference between buying like a cheap Halloween costume version of her versus buying like an actual cosplay suit for her. So I remember texting my friend and I was like, what if I just buy the better quality suit and I wear it to Supernova? I cosplay her. And she was like, okay, do it. And she kind of peer pressured me into it a little bit, which I needed. I was so terrified of going to a convention, and I'd never done any cosplay stuff online. I'd never cosplayed ever before, but I decided, and I was peer pressured by a friend, thankfully, lovingly, into cosplaying Gwen at a convention, and it was the most magical thing I'd ever done. I went as her both days to this con, and I had kids talking to me as if I was Gwen. I was taking photos of people. I had artists in artist alleys complimenting the cosplay and saying that they had drawn fan art of Gwen overnight because they'd seen me and like 2 other cosplayers and it had inspired them to literally create fan art of Gwen. I got to like talk to other Spider-Man cosplayers and interact with them in ways that I never really had before, because I'd always been the fan asking for photos with cosplayers very timidly because I didn't want to bother them. And then I was one of those people and I had other people taking photos of me, and it was just this insane thing. And I got to be Gwen Stacy for a couple days. I got to really be Gwen Stacy for like young girls, was always the thing of like, there were like little girls and little boys who were just getting really excited because they thought I was Spider-Gwen. And that was so insane. And so captivating and addicting. It was this immediate confidence booster. I was on this high from it for so long, and I just became immediately obsessed with it. So then I started posting on TikTok. I'd had a TikTok but never posted on it. Started posting Gwen videos on there. I'd had an Annabeth cosplay that I'd never really worn. I just had all the pieces for because I was obsessed with her. I bought a suit for MJ and a wig for MJ. I bought a very iffy Harley Quinn cosplay that I will someday upgrade. And I started saving up for a Rapunzel cosplay because she was my dream cosplay. I started posting cosplays on TikTok and it weirdly did really well, which was also very validating. So very encouraging to keep going. But there was just something about putting on a dress or a suit or a costume for a character that I admired and doing my makeup like them and putting on a wig or doing my hair like theirs and embodying that character that made me feel so proud and made me feel more comfortable in my own skin. I am thankfully doing a lot better in terms of my social anxiety than I was when I was in high school. I live alone. I can kind of take care of myself a lot more than I used to be able to. Have gone to cons alone in cosplay now. So I'm doing a bit better, but I think a lot of that confidence has come from cosplay and from putting on this persona of not only just who I'm presenting myself as online, but as a character. I remember distinctly, I was at Melbourne Supernova last year. I was looking at some things at a stall. Someone asked to take a photo of me, so I took a couple photos for them. I was an MJ cosplay, and then I went back over and I bought like a necklace from this store, and she was like, "You embody MJ so well, like you just seem so confident, you've really got it down pat." And I was like, "Oh my god, are you serious? Because I'm like so stressed and so anxious right now." And she was like, "You honestly couldn't tell, you seem so confident, you seem so on character." And it's so validating, like, and I feel that carries over into my personal life. I feel that I can, and this is why I kind of like doing like subtle closet cosplays, and I like on days where I feel not as great doing makeup or hair or outfits that remind me, or wearing merch of a character or a person that really does bring me confidence, because I feel like I can carry them with me and that makes me feel better. Carrying different characters with me and within me as well, because a lot of the characters I cosplay are like the characters I kin. It just makes me a more confident person and a happier person. Other people being like, "Hey, I can see Gwen in you," or "I can see Annabeth in you," or "I can see Harley in you," or Rapunzel in you. That has helped my self-esteem and my self-worth so much more than I can say, because these are characters that I've grown up admiring and that means so much to me. So when other people go, "Yeah, I think you make a great Gwen, I think you make a great Annabeth," that really does mean so much to me and help my confidence day to day. Honestly, on my worst days when I just really cannot stand being myself, there is nothing more magical than then getting into a cosplay and looking in the mirror and going, "Oh, that's Rapunzel. That's Rapunzel with my face, but that's Rapunzel. That's not Ashlee, that's Rapunzel." It helps so much. It really does. And honestly, just the cosplay community has been so lovely and so welcoming to me. People have just welcomed me with open arms and been like, "Hey, we see your passion for these characters and these worlds, and we like seeing that passion and we want to support that." I was so insecure about being like a nerd for so long, and then people being like, "Oh, like one of the nerdiest things you can do is cosplay," but people being like, "We like this and we like hearing you talk about this and we think you know these characters really well." That's so cool, and it makes me feel so okay about who I am, which isn't something that I felt very often in my life. It's so wonderful, and being able to have a community of people in like who like cosplay is so insane. I'm still a baby cosplayer. I've been doing this barely 2 years. I don't feel I'm good at it yet, but everyone is so supportive and so welcoming, and I genuinely feel like I can hopefully someday like go to a convention and like make friends in the community that I can collaborate with, and I can keep moving forward with this. My favorite hobby, it's my favorite thing I've ever done. Genuinely nothing brings me more joy than cosplay. Like putting on a new suit or experimenting with little things, doing makeup tests, testing out wigs, styling wigs. Nothing makes me happier. Nothing makes me happier than when I'm like filming stuff for them, or you know, I'm very awkward with photo shoots, but I really have fun with them as well. So hopefully I get more comfortable doing photo shoots. The idea of someday selling prints or selling calendars, that brings me so much excitement and so much joy. And like, not to overshare a bit, but I've been really fucking down lately and in a bad spot. And those things, the idea of cosplaying more characters some days, that makes me want to live. And that's kind of a huge thing for me right now. The fact that people are supportive of it, it's so wonderful, and I'm so grateful. So thank you to everyone who's here. Getting to embody characters that you admire It's the most incredible feeling in the world. If you are someone who kind of wants to cosplay at all, just do it. Just do it. It might change your life. It's changed mine for sure. It just brings me so much joy and has made me both a more confident person, a person who is more okay, has accepted my insecurities, I guess, a lot more than I ever have, and has kind of taken pride in those insecurities a little bit too, but also it's just made me a better person all around, I think, and has opened up so many doors for me and made my life better. And I know that like cosplayers are cringy as hell, and I'm the first to say that, like, yes, I am one of the worst people alive. I am a cosplayer, we suck, but I'm also so proud of being a cosplayer. Anyway, that's my little rant for today. Thank you guys for being really supportive, genuinely. My heart just goes out to you. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Mwah.